This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
Giraffe is named after the renowned British zoologist Lionel Walter Woodstock. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The red-striped giraffes have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies: long legs, a long neck with 7 elongated vertebrae, and a leopard-like coat. The base of the leg has spines which project upward and form a hump over the shoulders. They have ankle muscles that hold the neck upward. But they are taller, measuring up to 6 meters, ranking as the tallest of all mammals, with an adult male weighing up to 2,000 kilograms. A giraffe's heart can weigh up to 10 kilograms and measure about 60 centimeters in length. It is the only subspecies to be born with 5 horns. 2 of these are true horns in the top of the head, in common with all giraffes. The third horn can be often seen in the center of the giraffe's forehead and the other 2 behind each ear. Giraffes can inhabit savannas, grasslands, or open woodlands. They are herbivorous, preferring areas enriched with acacia growth. Their long legs are used to browse through leaves and drink large quantities of water. As a result, they can spend long periods of time in dry, arid areas without drinking. A giraffe can eat 63 kilograms of leaves and twigs daily. Giraffes have 4 stomachs just like cows, so their carb needs to travel all the way up their neck. They are sociable.
Tulinga nsolima tuzanyira we twamanyira tetutomera buzizi. Amawulire gonna tugenda kugakuwa mu bujuvu bwago mu ngeri y'omusezi ng'agula esowani nti mpaayo ennene kwe naalira ennyama. Ganaabeeranga nkuba ya ggulo anti bw'etakuba musezi ekuba mubbi. Katusooke tufune emitwe emikulu nga bulijjo. Enkayana ku by'ettaka mu Kampala, Lukwago awadde Yusufu Nsibambi w'ofiisi. Abasuubuzi b'e Nakasero batabukidde abaka CCA babalanga kubalemesa mirimu. Ab'obuyinza batabukidde abaddukanya klinika ewandegeya okuliraana Kampala ezimu ziwonya okuggalwa. Ekisawo ky'e Namboole katono kiggalwe lwa butasasula musolo. NTV Akawungeezi nkwaniriza nate nze Frank Alisembi. Katusooke n'enkaayana wakati wa Kampala Capital City Authority KCCA n'ekitongole ky'ebyettaka mu Kampala District Land Board ezeeyongedde. Meeya wa Kampala Elias Lukwago yayingidde mu nkaayana zino era olwaleero avumiridde nnyo poliisi gy'agamba nti ekozesebwa abakulu mu KCCA olw'ebigendererwa ebitamanyiddwa. Poliisi atubulidde nti yagadde ofiisi eno kubanga eriko okubuuliriza okw'enjawulo kwekola. Lukwago awadde Yusufu Nsibambi ne banne ofiisi bagire nga bakoleramu. Katufune ebisingawo ku nsonga eno.
Olunaku lw'eggulo poliisi wamu ne KCCA bagaddewo ofiisi z'ekitongole kya Kampala District Land Board nga bagamba nti baliko bye banoonyereza n'okutuusa kati ofiisi zino zikyakumibwa butiribiri. Lord Mayor wa Kampala Elias Lukwago olwaleero ayingidde mu nsonga zino n'ayita abakungu b'ekitongole ky'ebyettaka n'abawa ofiisi.
District Land Board egenda jireka kalabiza emirimu gyayo mu ofiisi empya Jemba kwasizanga Lord Mayor wa Kampala kubanga olukiiko lw'enkulembero lwa Kampala Capital City Authority lwe lulina obuvunaanyizibwa ku District Land Board. So tetuyinza kulaba emirimu nga gitankana bwegiti. Abantu kati abaagala okumanya ebikwata ku ttaka lyabwe balagewa.
Lukwago agambye nti ekyokuggalawo ofiisi zino tekyabadde mateeka era n'ategeeza nga bw'agenda okuyita olukiiko lwafuga nalwo nga 6 omwezi ogujja bateese ku nsonga zino.
Alina okuwabula kwonna ne executive director ajja kuleeta okuwabula kwe mu lukiiko olwo then tusalewo ekyenkomeredde.
Lukwago era akakasizza nga bw'awandiikidde Ssenkulu wa poliisi ku ngeri poliisi gyegambibwa okubanga ewambye obuyinza bwa KCCA nga kati yeetandise okukola emirimu gyayo. Kyokka poliisi olunaku lw'eggulo yategeezezza nga bw'ekyaliko byenoonyereza mu kifo kino.
So nabuuza Inspector General Police kakati ye yafuuse Lord Mayor wa Kampala. So muwandiikidde ebbaluwa nga mutegeeza mukama wange oba tewakimanya nti nalondebwa nga Lord Mayor. Njagala okikutegeeza nti Lord Mayor waali n'olukiiko olw'abakansala olukulembera ekibuga weetuli.
Ane nga tulowooza nti waliwo amawulire agayinza okutuyamba mu kunoonyereza kuno agali mu ofiisi z'ettaka. Ensonga lwaki poliisi yayimiriza abantu abadde bakozesa ofiisi zino okuzikozesa okutuusa nga poliisi emaze ozisaakinga.
Ate ye ssentebe w'akakiiko k'ebyettaka aweereddwa ofiisi ategeezezza nga bw'agenda okukakkalabya obulungi emirimu gye mu ofiisi emuweereddwa.
Emirimu tugenda gikolera wano. Ensonga enjala tugenda okukwatako mu bwangu ddala ze ssente eziri ku akawunti ya Orient Bank ne Stanbic Bank obuwumbi 3.5 obwabulawo nga twali amanyi gye bubuze ku akawunti yaffe. Sabbiiti ewedde minisita avunaanyizibwa Kampala Mululi Mukasa yavaayo n'ategeeza nga bwe bali mu kwebuuza ku bikwatagana n'ofiisi y'ettaka mu Kampala olwo basalewo oba bagiriko basigalawo oba edda wansi wa KCCA. Dini Lubowa Sava, NTV Akawungeezi.
Weewaawo NTV Akawungeezi. Abasuubuzi mu katale k'e Nakasero mu Kampala bavudde mu mbeera ne bakaayukira ba KCCA be balumiriza okuzingamya emirimu mu katale kano nga bateeka amakufulu ku zi ofiisi. Mu mwezi ogwokuna akulira ekibuga Jennifer Musisi yategeeza nti KCCA yeddiza entambuza y'emirimu mu katale kano. Abasuubuzi bategeeza nga we batakyalina bakolera mirimu nawo okutereka ssente nga bulijjo bwe baali bakola.
Bano bamu ku basuubuzi mu katale k'e Nakasero abakedde okwekumamu ogutaaka ne baggala emidaala gyabwe nga balumiriza ekitongole kya KCCA okuggalawo ofiisi zaabwe. KCCA yaggalawo ofiisi z'abasuubuzi mu katale kano kati ebbanga lya myezi 2 ng'egamba nti yali egezaako okumanya omuwendo omutuufu ogw'abasuubuzi abali mu katale kano.
Twagala bazigule bo babere mu ofiisi yaabwe babe nga bakola emirimu gyabwe nga n'abasuubuzi bakola egyabwe.
Tebajja kuddamu kusolooza musolo wano basite kansi nga ofiisi yaffe sinzigule.
Nga abasuubuzi ffe tetwagala essaawa zino ofiisi zaffe zigule tukooye okutugamba nti enkya luli ebyo tubikooye.
Abasuubuzi bagamba nti mu kiseera kino tebakyasobola kwewola nsimbi mu ofiisi y'ekibiina ekibagatta k'okutereka nga bweri enkola y'abasuubuzi mu katale kano.
Pulezidenti teekamu ne ssente zennyini abantu bawolengamu ssente zibayambenga abantu teekamu ssente zaabwe bennyini.
Nga bakambwe eby'ensusu abasuubuzi balumbye ofiisi za KCC ezisangibwa mu katale kano era eno boogeredde ebisongovu abakozi baamu. Babalangidde obunnanfusiko okubasaba okubaddiza ensimbi ze babadde babasoloozaamu ez'empooza.
kubanga deni mutambuza
mutudize sente za
bino byonna bibaddewo nga ne poliisi weeri okulaba nga tewabalokawo kavuyo k'amaanyi mu katale gye biggweredde nga kikkaanyiziddwako nti wabeewo okuteesa wakati w'abasuubuzi poliisi ko abakulu okuva mu KCCA okusobola okusalira ekizibu kino amagezi era emirimu ne giddamu bukwakku.
Akulembeze tugenda kubeerayo ne tugenda kufuna n'abantu ku basuubuzi babiri okuva eno emmanga ne basatu okuva waggulu babeere mu miitingi eyo.
Violence teyamba, dialogue yejjo tuyamba ogenda amaaso.
Mu mwezi gw'okuna olukiiko lwa KCCA bwe lwasalawo okweddiza ensonga z'akatale kano era nga kuno kwe kwava okuggalawo ofiisi ezivuddeko kalumanywera. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Katugende maaso. KCCA wadde ennaku 2 eri abakulira klinika eyitibwa Wandegeya Medical Center okutereeza engeri gye basuula ebikozeseddwa ebiva mu ddwaliro lino. Bwe batakikola kino tutegedde nti klinika egenda kuggalwa. Aba KCCA bagenze mu kifo kino olwaleero nga bagamba nti abayola kasasiro abaana bugabo Abdul Venture bazze beemulugunya emirundi giweze kati ku mpiso, pamba n'ebintu ebirala ebikozeseddwa ku balwadde ebisangibwa mu kasasiro ava mu klinika eno.
Before it wasn't what I'm saying. Before it wasn't that. I did not know it was dumping there. Why do I have to have that? We don't have any problem without.
Musajja mukulu ono nga dokita era nga yennyini kalwalira Akawandegeya Medical Center abunye obufofofo nga bw'alaajana aba KCCA bwe bamuzinza okumuggala olw'enkwata embi ey'akasasiro we gye bagamba nti yabulabe eri abantu. Asoose kubyegaana ng'abalagayo kasasiro we bwamusuula mu kisiro kino kyokka bwe bamulaze empisa ezisangiddwa mu bisawo bya kasasiro bino kwe kumukalira ku mimwa wabula era amwegaanye nti ye talina kyamumanyiiko.
So I don't know about those. How can I go and find out? Is it my expertise to know what is inside there? I don't know who brought them, but I'm not responsible for that.
Wabula akkiriza nti ensuula ya kasasiro aggyibwa mu malwaliro nga gano omuli empiso, omusaayi n'ebiringa ebyo kusoomoozebwa kunene gye bali.
But I had to use my ordinary means of correcting them. I did not have the money to go and pay that company because they had told me it is something like 100,000. You need to correct, to prepare for that. Meanwhile, those needles, they are not more than 400.
Okutuuka ku kino be bayozi ba kasasiro abannabugabo dealers okugaana okuyoola kasasiro wo mu kifo kino nga bagamba nti ekiteezi gye bamutwala bw'asangibwamu ebintu ng'empiso babasasuze nga si era ng'alina kutwalibwa kitongole kirala ekikola ku kasasiro ow'ekika ekyo.
Omwezi ogwokusatu batukwata ekiteezi gye tuyiwa kasasiro nga mulimu empiso ezimaze okukozesebwa mu clinics. So kati kasasiro ono twali tuzze okumutwala ne tusangamu era empiso endala nga tetuyinza kudda mu nsobi emu eyo kuyoolawo kasasiro ono.
We have kids play around, the needles will inject what? They will pierce them and that will get either tetanus or other related diseases. That's why you see these heaps of garbage, because we want to solve this and we want the public to know that this is delayed because of medical
kyokka bagamba nti babadde balabula dokita ono okukwatagana n'abatwala kasasiro ow'ekika ekyo nga tabafaako. KCCA kwe kujja okumuggala era ng'ekimuwonyezza ye mulwadde gw'abadde alinamu era kwe kumuwa ekiwandiiko ekimulabula nti bw'atabaako kyakola mu nnaku 2 baakumuggala. Irene Namyalo, NTV Akawungeezi. Abasomesa b'omasomero ga gavumenti batongozza kaweefube okuteeka gavumenti ku nninga okulongoosa ebyenjigiriza. Bagamba nti omutindo gusse nnyo bw'ogeraageranya emyaka 10 egiyiseewo. Bagala gavumenti eyongeze ku ssente z'ekitongole ky'ebyenjigiriza mu mbalirira y'omwaka ogw'ebyensimbi guno ogujja. Era baagala wabeewo n'eteeka erisobozesa buli mwana okufuna ng'ekyemisana ku ssomero.
We call upon parents and the entire country to get involved in the schools, to make sure children have lunch, to make sure teachers are teaching, to make sure parents are engaged in schooling, in the schools process. The budget this time round is not 14%, is not 13% or 12%, but is at least 20%. We hope our parliament will deliver on this in order to secure the education of our children, to secure the future of our country.
Bishop Zak Nirenjie ng'ayogerera mu lukiiko lw'abasomesa olutudde olwaleero. Abatuuze mu gombola y'Ebungoho mu district y'Embale basazeewo bazibe oluguudo oluva e Nashikasho okudda e Namwanga nga bagamba nti terukyali luguudo wabula ekikubo omuyitwente. Embeera n'abatuuze bagamba nti evuddeko emirimu gyabwe mingi okufa.
Abatuuze bano babadde tebasalikako misale bakoze effujjo erya buli ngeri omuli okuziba ekkubo nga beeyambisa ebiyinja ebinene, amatabi g'emiti, okusimbamu ebitooke, ssaako okusimamu ebinnya okusobola okulemesa emmotoka ne pikipiki okuliyitamu. Ssentebe mu kitundu kinazze era n'agezaako okwogera gye bali wabula ne bamuvuvuba nga bagamba nti kati emirimu gyabwe mingi egyasannyalala kuba yabalekerera.
Kasitoma tetukyafuna lwakubo linate nga likola nnyo ssente tuva eri bakasitoma balinyengula okugenda okukola emirimu gyabwe nalaba ekkubo erifaanana paka emmanga eri. Kati bw'ositula omulwadde okumujja wali ku luguudo okumutuusa wano ng'enkuba etonye. Omugambwa munange musitule busuze omuki. Musitule busituze naye tosobola kusitula omuntu kuva eri paka wali wammanga. Abasajja otuvuga pikipiki tubonaabona epikipiki zigwa.
Kyokka ye ssentebe ekizibu kino akitadde ku bantu abatayagala kkubo kuyita ku bikomera byabwe. Babatuuze baweze okugenda mu maaso n'embeera eno singa ssentebe aganira mu ofiisi n'oluguudo ne lutakolebwako.
Tugenda kwekalakasa paka bwe banakola webagenda okulima ekkubo lino babuulira amazima kubanga ababodaboda tukubonaabona tuzuba enjala nnaku 3 omusajja obonaabona ogwo wansi akawunga kayiga kateeka banaalya ki.
NTV akawungeezi erimu n'eddakiika 11 tukomawo n'amawulire amalala mangi mu kitundu ekyokubiri tovaawo. Ababaka mu Paalamenti boogedde abalondebwa ku bulamuzi basaana kukubwamu ttooki. Okulonda abanakiika mu Paalamenti ya East Africa aba FDC babirwaniddemu.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
TV akawungeezi kuwummula tekuba kutuuka tukyagenda mu maaso. Ababaka baagala bannayuganda beetabe mu kusengejja abantu ababalondeddwa okubeera abalamuzi nga bwe kiri ku muliraano w'e Kenya. Balowooza nti kino kijja kuyambako okulonda abantu abatalina nziro. Ababaka olwaleero basisinkanye omuwandiisi ow'enkalakkalira mu kitongole ekivunaanyizibwa ku kulonda abalamuzi ki Judicial Service Commission.
Jojjuzi wano ku muliraano e Kenya waatekebwawo akakiiko okuddamu okwekenneenya abalamuzi era okukkana nga abalamuzi 5 basuuliddwa ettale olw'obutaba na bisaanyizo bimala. Kino kyakolebwa ku ntimbe za TV ng'abalondebwa okubeera abalamuzi babasoya ebibuuzo era bannakenya baaweebwa omukisa okutwala okwemulugunya kwonna gwe balabanga ebisaanyizo bye bibuusibwabuusibwa. Kati nno ababaka wano mu Uganda nabo baagala kyekiba kikolebwa.
Ekintu ky'abalamuzi kino twetaaga abantu abulijjo bakyetabeemu lwa nsonga. Tugenza okulaba walimu abalamuzi abalala nga empisa zaabwe serizuba nnungi, abalanga obubbo baba butandika buto kusingira mostly wano mu bamagistrate banabo ku district. N'osanga oli nga alwanira ssente ne prosecute okulya ku ssente z'enguzi.
Okuteekawo bannayuganda nga balina obuvunaanyizibwa okusooka okuwa obujulizi ku balamuzi n'okubeerondera oba nga bamaze okuleeta amanya ne baboogerako ebibafaako kijja kujjawo ebintu kubanga nabo bagenda okuma nti betugenda okusalira emisango batumanye ebibi ebituliko tugenda balina okutunywa byesalako tukole ebintu ebisinga obulungi.
Wabula omuwandiisi w'ekitongole ekivunaanyizibwa ku balamuzi Kagole Kivumbi agamba nti bannayuganda baddembe okuleeta obujulizi bwonna bwe balina ku muntu yenna abalondeddwa okubeera omulamuzi.
Eri abalamuzi abamu nga ye bw'atuuka ku lwokutaano n'agenda dda ku lwakubiri mu batuwe tumanye nti omulamuzi wa wano ateeka okukola okuva ku balozi okutuuka ku lwokutaano ye akola mu ssaawa mbale mukangavule. Ekirala tuukirira omubaka wa paalamenti omanye nti amanya bwe gatuuka mu paalamenti mugeekenneenye nnyo nammwe bannamawulire mumanye nti olukalala lwazze ani aliko kati awo wabeerewo okubuuliriza kwegamba okusunsula kubeere nti kuli ku mitendera gyonna okuva eno ewaffe mu Judicial Service Commission ne bwe kujja wano mu paalamenti.
Ekitongole ekiramuzi kize kinokolwayo mu buli bw'enguzi abaka kye bagamba kino kiva ku musaala omutono gwe bafuna. Okugeza abalamuzi ab'oku ntikko bafuna omusala gwa bukadde 5 bwokka, songa ebitongole ebirala ababikulira bafuna obukadde obusoba mu 3.
Toyina bwogenda kulwanyisa buli bwanguzi ng'ogenda abalamuzi bajja buli bwenguzi nga bafuna emisaala mitono. Omulamuzi ateekwa okufuna n'essente ezisinga omubaka wa paalamenti omusaala.
Akula ekitongole kino ekya Judicial Service Commission Kagole Kivumbi ategeeza nti yamaze dda okuwandiikira bekikwatako okulaba ng'emisaala gy'abalamuzi gyongezebwa.
Gavumenti twakiwaayo twakiteesaako era gavumenti kiri mikono gya gavumenti tusuubira nga bamaze okukikkaanyaako embeera ejja babeere nti basasula bulungi.
Wabula Kivumbi agaanye okwogera ku ssente ezigenda okwongezebwa abalamuzi. Jingo Francis, NTV Akawungezi.
NTV Akawungezi. Muyanja Mbabali kooti gwe yagoba ku ky'omubaka owa Bukoto South ayagala agende ne mu kooti etapita amateeka emubuulire oba eddembe lye teryalinyirirwa ng'omusango ogw'okulonda kwa Bukoto South gusalibwa. Mbabali agamba nti kooti ejulirwamu yali esazeewo nti okuwulira omusango guno kuddibwemu ate waayitawo akaseera katono kooti emu ne yeekyusa n'ewa ensala eyamulagira okuva mu kifo ky'omubaka.
Okusitujulidde kusaanidde tuli mu kooti ya ssemateeka nga yesinga ekkooti eri obukulu era nga bweba erina okwemulugunya nti eddembe ly'omuntu teryalitunulwamu lyalinyirirwa yokka gy'oyinza okugendamu negamba omusango ogwo guddwemu kubanga ekisooka omulamuzi omukulu yagamba omusango guddwemu ebbaluwa yino omusango tegwakola ki tegwaddwamu n'abalamuzi abalala ne bagamba tebajja kusala musango ate kyavaamu nga tumaze okuvaayo ate ne bagusala.
Our client is craving for a hearing in the Constitutional Court. The rule of law demands that a person aggrieved should not go on the streets, should not go to Bukoto South to begin fighting with stones, but should take their complaints to court.
Agava mu kulonda okubadde ku kitebe kya FDC nga bano balonda n'abakiikirira mu Parliament ya East Africa galaga nti Salamu Musumba wanguddwa. Abalondeddwa kuliko Augustine Ruzindana ne Anita Mongu. Newakubadde FDC egamba nti si yakwetaba mu kulonda kw'ababaka okwawamu okugenda okubaawo enkya. Kino bakikoze kutegeka abantu baabwe ng'eno beekubira enduulu mu kooti ya East Africa gye baagala esazeemu okulonda kwa Uganda.
Abo bamu ku bavubuka b'ekibiina kya FDC abadde bagezaako kukozesa eryanyi okuyingira mu kibangirizi ky'ekibiina kino ennajjanankumbi nga baagala okwetaba mu kulonda okubadde kugenda mu maaso. Kyokka poliisi yabadde yatemezeddwako edda ebaziyiza era wabaddewo okuwanyisiganya ebisongovu.
Those are your leader. Why are you disappearing them? Can you move outside?
Omuvubuka ono ye asazeewo okuwalampa ekisenge agwe munda kyokka naye poliisi emuguddemu. Olwaleero ekibiina kya FDC lwe kirunze bammemba baakyo abanakiikira mu lukiiko lw'amawanga ageegattira mu mukago gwa East Africa. Bino we bijjidde nga ekibiina kya NRM kyamala dda okusunsulamu bammemba baakyo 6 kyokka nga kino kiwakanyizibwa ebibiina by'obufuzi ebirala. Era wano FDC yasalawo okwekubira endulu mu kkooti ya East Africa.
Ekizibu ekiriwo nti abalamuzi tebaliiwo, bagenda mu Sweden bakomawo nga 8 baali bagenze mu musomo ogwa human rights. Kakati bwe banaabakomyewo bajja tuwa olunaku omusango ogwo ba reference yaffe ewulirwe.
Bano era tebakkanya n'okulondwa okutegekeddwa olunaku lw'enkya okulondako ababaka banaakiikirira Uganda mu lukiiko lwa East Africa.
Bino ebigenda mu parliament balonda sirowooza nti bijja standing a test of time, tekijja soboka.
FDC egamba nti yagadde okutegeka abantu baayo wadde nga tebagenda kwetaba mu kulonda kw'enkya. Byo ebivudde mu kulonda biraga nti Salamu Musumba awanguddwa era nga Mongo Anita ne Augustine Ruzindana be bayiseemu. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
NTV Akawungeezi agenza okumalanga eddakiika ziri 23 eziyise ku ssaawa emu. Tugenda kulaba akatale k'ensimbi nga bwe kabadde e Kampala. ebyo nabyo bitegerekese bulungi. Tugenda kuwumulamu tukomawo n'amawulire okuva mu kisaawe eky'ebyemizannyo. Ky'oba okola beera naffe.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Otyo bya mizanyo ku NTV akawungeezi. Wabaddewo emitafo okwereega n'obuswandi ku kisaawe Nambole nga abaserikale ba Kira Town Council bagezaako okuggala ekisaawe. Tebasobodde okuggala kisaawe kyonna okuggyako geeti ya hoteri y'ekisaawe nga bagigadde lwa musolo gwa myaka 4 ogutannaba kusasula bakulu bekikwatako mu kisaawe kino.
All of the information is from the town. Where is it? But we have always been here and even sending
Bring the paper that closes
you come
us
and
up.
make payments.
We want the paper that closes us up.
The rest of the part. The rest part. If you mean to take us where you go to court now. Yeah, we want that professionally.
We want it done professionally.
Because we have been here for the last 4 years. Don't you have copies of that? Don't you have copies of?
You know the management you're talking about?
I mean management.
You don't know. You
Which
come
management?
and close.
Which
you
management?
don't talk to the management, you close.
There is a new management.
So
that
we want
you are
the
saying.
paper that closes.
But the old management, the new management takes over from the old management.
So if you have not been introduced to the new management, what are you talking about?
But we have talked to the new management for three times
you
now.
You know the new management, you don't know. You close.
I mean the new management. We are talking in terms of the new management. We have talked to the new management, the current management, for 3 times now.
Can you mention the name of the current management?
I mean, why do I have to mention the names?
So who is the current management?
Do we have to? I mean, when we talk
the paper that closes us.
But you are talking of management. This is the meaning therefore that there is a management. We have to know somebody by name that this one is.
At least you need to know that there is a manager. Then you talk about that.
This
manager.
is not personal property where
exactly.
we. Yeah. So there is management.
So you close with.
What we are saying is that our part is finished.
You don't have the.
Our part is done. The rest is handled by the town clerk, town treasurer, town council has management. Like Nambole has management.
So we open.
Tebagala kusasula akasula ko mwaka mungoka. Tonde zifuna kyakikola. Twawandikira amabaluwa emirundi mingi. Town council nade bawandikira amabaluwa emirundi gyonna. Nge basaba basasula omusolo gwa wano trading license balina hotel ekola business tesasula misolo. So
Beba Kira Town Council abo nga bagezaako okuggala ekisaawe eky'Enambole. Omutendesi wa Uganda Cranes Bobby Williamson ebintu tebimugendera bulungi nnyo olw'abazannyi be abeeyongera okufuna buvune nga wabula ennaku ntono ddala Uganda okuzannya ne Angola. Mpaka Angola zegenda okuzannya ne Uganda zakusunsulamu abaneetaba mu kikopo ky'ensi yonna mu 2014. Sula Matovu naye yeegase ku Geoffrey Massa ne Mude abali mu kufuna obujjanjabi.
Omuzannyi Sula Matovu olwaleero tatendekeddwa ne banne oluvannyuma lw'okufuna obuvune olunaku lwa jjo nga ttiimu y'eggwanga yeegazaamu n'ey'abato. Matovu yeegasse ku Geoffrey Massa ne Mudde Musa abakyali kujjanjabibwa. Wabula wadde nga abazannyi abamu balwadde, omuzibizi Hassan Wasu agamba nti mugumu ttiimu y'eggwanga ejja kudda n'obuwanguzi okuva mu Angola.
Manyi Abannayuganda abasinga bagwamu amaanyi ku campaign ewedde naye manyi eno campaign abasambi be tulina bato by experience era manyi tujja kikola ku Camp Sunday era Abannayuganda mbagamba bajje mu bungi tebagwamu maanyi tujja balletinga down era olunaku lwa Sunday tujjako kirina kye tulina era tetujja ba disappointinga katulina bulizi omupiira gwa Sunday gutuuke twale kinavaayo.
Omuzibizi Henry Kalungi yeegasse ku ttiimu eno ku makya ate Denison Nyango, Moses Oloya ne Brian Omonyi baatuuse mu ggwanga ekiro kya jjo era nga beegasse ku ttiimu eno akawungeezi ka leero. Ebyo nga biri bityo enkambi eguddemu ekiyongobero oluvannyuma lwa Cyprian Nanzima abadde ayoza n'okulabirira emijoozi gya ttiimu y'eggwanga okubulawo.
Ex International yasambirako mu ttiimu ya Nsambya yabadde atuyambako wano talabikako mutuyambe mutegeeze poliisi kumusango tukutte ku poliisi okulaba nga batuyambako okulaba nga bamunoonyereza wawaali ne nnaku 3 bisatuga ayinza okujja enkya katukirabye ennaku ziyiseewo nnyingi ne tulowooza nti alina ekizibu ate essimu ye teriiko.
Sam Mpoza, NTV Akawungeezi.
Ebyemizannyo nabyo bwe bityo bwe bigenze bye bifundikira amawulire wano e Kampala otusinzira okuweereza olunaku olwaleero omusana gwase n'ebitundu bingi ebyetoolodde Kampala naye twagala tulabe olunaku olw'enkya nga bwe lunabeera. NTV Akawungeezi bwetyo bwegenze. Edakika ebula 28 okwera essaawa 2. Mwebale kulaba yonna gye musinziira. Amawulire amalala gajja kuba gajja ku ssaawa 3 n'essaawa 5. Tukomyawo ng'erigenda emugga anti munnanga atagoyesezza yagunenyeza munne nti yagumumye. Nga bulijjo ekikoze alima kye kimunnyula. Mbasiibudde bataayi.
The impala is a medium-sized graceful antelope found in southern Africa to the northern limits of East Africa. In Uganda, they can only be found in Lake Mburo National Park. With its reddish-brown body, the impala is very similar to the kobe, but are differentiated by the black strip which runs along the middle of the lower back to the tail. Their slender lioness-shaped horns are found only in males. The impala weighs up to 80 kilograms with a shoulder height of 75 to 95 centimeters or 2.5 to 3.5 feet. Unlike other antelopes, impalas have large brush-like tufts of long coarse black hair that cover a scent gland located just above the heel on each hind leg. Its remarkable leaps are the most well-known feature of the impala's movement. Impalas inhabit grassland and woodland edges, usually very close by water. They feed on young shoots during the wet season and herbs and shrubs during the dry season and drink daily. The male impala are very territorial animals and fiercely guard their territory from challenging males through horn duels. They stand with erect posture, rub scent from face glands and make dung heaps to mark their territory. The females form herds of up to 50 or more and wander in and out of the male territories. If they start to leave the territory, the male tries to herd them back into the center. Bachelor males are allowed to remain in the male territories by the dominant male only if they ignore the females. But occasionally you will catch sight of one lone male impala which keeps close to the female herd and waits for an opportunity when the dominant male is preoccupied to mate with any of the females. The female impala reaches sexual maturity at 1 year and the male at 1.5. Gestation period is 6 to 7 months. In East Africa, young impalas are born all year round, but birth peaks usually coincide with the rains. The young are suckled for 4 to 6 months. The males will not be mature enough to hold a territory until they're 5 or 6 years old. Impala have a lifespan of 12 years.
This is NTV.
On Rendezvous, it's up close with one of Uganda's own superstars, the versatile and high-flying and find out which videos have topped this week's Rendezvous chart. Since the turn of this millennium, Uganda's music has taken on a dynamism and charisma that can only be attributed to a new taken the industry by storm. Joseph Mayanja, aka Chameleon, is one of the artists who have been at the forefront of this revolution. His blending of African folk music, rumba, zouk and raga, which he calls urban African music, has created a combination which has had a great appeal to both the young and the old. For Chameleon, his accomplishment as a musician has not been accidental. Music is in his blood.
Joseph Mayanja is born in a family of 8 7 boys and 1 girl, and I'm the 4th born. I'm born in a musical family. My father used to be a trombone player in his old days in Zambia boys' school. My grandfather was a guitarist, not professional, but a man who played guitar at his free time. And I also grew up as a child who loved music a lot, and my biggest idol was Michael Jackson. So I remember when we used to be in Nakasero Primary School in around P3, when the teachers left the class, I used to walk in front of the kids and dance for them. And being my Angel Joseph, the kids also took my initials MJ because I used to dance for them. So.
Chameleon's decision to pursue a musical career at an early age, when he was supposed to be concentrating on his studies, of course did not go well with his parents.
They didn't think it was a good idea for me to choose to start singing at that age. They didn't think it was wise for me to choose to sing than going to school. So, and that's not what that is not what I planned to do. I planned to sing and at the same time go to school. And on very many occasions, my father caught me sneaking back into the house, coming from discos, which discos were like Maganjo, Misauri, and Jaja Sinansis, the Echoes, and whatever. So I picked interest in going to the discos because I used to ask for the microphone and then juggle and sing somebody else's song and blah blah.
So he owes his early start to Shanks BVD, who had faith in his voice and encouraged him to grow as a musician in his own right.
Come 1995, I met this guy, then one of Uganda's biggest artists, who gave me a very good platform. He fell in love with my voice, and he thought that if he helped me, give me ideas, I would make a very good artist. And I remember at one time, I caught him very well. One time we were driving in his car when he said that. Because I was asking him, now, how does it feel being a star? And do you think I can make it to being a star? And what does it take being a star? He told me all the things that I encountered later on. He told me, one, being a star is not so easy. There's too much pressure because you have to be creating new music every other time. Actually, Shanks gave me a whole heap of exposure. He's the guy who got me onto professional stages like curtain raising for Lake Dube, for Shabarangs, for Buju Banton, for Chaka Chaka. So he gave me a very good exposure, and he took my career to another level.
Looking at the magnitude of his following and the enthusiasm with which these dancehall artists' every new hit is received, it is hard to imagine that actually his musical career did not blossom from Uganda. He released his first album, Bagea, in Kenya in 1999.
I recorded it at a studio called Hills Media in Nairobi. It was not big in Kampala at all. It was a very big tune in Kenya. And in fact, that was my bouncing spot. That's how I started saving money to do the next level, Mamma Mia. And that's how I started building my fan base.
Chameleon's breakthrough on the Ugandan music scene came with the release of his second album, Mamma Mia, in 2001. Since the release of Mamma Mia, the artist has Ugandan fans, whom he went on to thrill with several other albums like Jo Karibu in 2002, The Golden Voice in 2003, Mambo Bado in 2004, and Kipepeo in 2005. biggest hits include Jamila, Mama Roda, Shida za Dunia, Kipepeo, and Sivyo Ndivyo. Although competition on the home front has been tight with other emerging artists like Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine, over the last few years has taken hold over the region and he has emerged as one of East Africa's most popular artists. Language has been a contributory factor.
When I sing Luganda, I'm trying to satisfy my home people. When I sing Swahili, I'm trying to satisfy the rest of the world, because as much as people think Swahili is just an East African language, it goes beyond that. If you listen to Michael Jackson's album, that what song was it? Liberian Girl. When the song starts, he says nakupenda sana, nakupenda pia. When it ends, he says the same thing. So Swahili is just more than an East African song. Sorry, East African language. I choose those two languages because they help me express myself completely.
Kazini na juu atafanya nini? Mke wake amemtoroka, rafiki zake wanamcheka, shida amepata nyingi, amechoka, dunia anajuta, acha kulia shida za dunia.
He has thus managed to win several awards both on the home front, Pearl of Africa Music Awards and beyond.
I've on two consecutive years won the Kisima Awards, best Ugandan song, best Ugandan video. I've won Kilimanjaro Awards. I've won many awards, honestly. And for me, I don't look at my awards as something to brag about, but I look at it as an achievement. Just like when a child goes to school and bring back a report, that is the report for my music, and I'm very proud to be also nominated for the NTV Awards. I think that is, for me, that is the biggest thing ever happened to my career. I mean, that could possibly even be the turning point of my career.
For these artists, achieving superstar status has not been easy. He attributes all his successes to hard work and taking the advice of the good friends he has made along the way.
I'll say it's a God thing, because you see, when God makes people with different measures. I mean, in Luganda maybe njaganti akatiba katuna kyako sanze sikyako some next month sikyako some next month. Everybody has their hidden talent. And okay, what I'll attribute all that to, for me, is one is I'm a very hardworking person, and never at any time have I felt that what I've achieved is enough. I always look at myself like somebody who doesn't have nothing. I have people who also advise me. Like, people used to complain a lot about my quality of videos, and that came into my concern. I was like, hey, okay, the music is good. They used to say the music is good, but it doesn't match the videos. The videos are very poor. So I have friends. I have friends like Musta from Megavision. Those are the people that I've always worked with for my videos. And I wouldn't say Musta comes with the idea, or Hosea comes with the idea, or I come with the idea. We sit down and build an idea. Because I mean, you can never build an idea bigger than the person who nurtured it. of course I come up and say, okay, now for this video I think I want to make it local. Then they ask me, how local? I tell them I want to represent this person, represent that person, represent that person, represent this person. So them as cameramen or video editors, they start looking at the angles where the video look good.
Although Chameleon manages and produces his own music, he has worked with a number of artists like Red Sun and Professor J, who have had an impact on his career.
The first most exciting one was the one I did with Red Sun, which was called Bagaya. That was my first song. Of course, that one stands out and it's so special because I remember me and Red Sun were in the studios. We hadn't had lunch and we didn't even know how to go about music. Those are the times when we were so poor, so hopeless, no lunch, nothing, but I love it because we were strong to our dream. And then I love all the collabos equally. And I chose, for example, for the gospels I did with Tikita, Bosaba. I chose him because we lived together at that time and he gave me a chance to see that he was a true godly man. You know, it's not about singing gospel, it's about singing gospel because with God there is no lies. I chose to sing with him because he was a godly man and he had a lot of talent. And I could see that. So with Professor J, that's what I will never forget. Because as much as I'm a very talented artist, I was in studio and Professor J was spitting a lot of words and I was like, hey, am I going to sing with this man? That is the most challenging collab I've ever done. In fact, we went into studio and in just maybe 30 minutes, Professor J had done his work and finished. And I was like, hey, now what am I going to sing? He was too fast. I mean, he's one guy that I remember that collab a lot because he was one guy that gave me a challenge.
In spite of his hectic pace, Chameleon does take time out to catch his breath.
I love painting. Besides, I also have a very demanding son. Because as we're doing this interview, I'm also thinking about the time to pick him from school. So I spend a lot of time with my son, with my friends, and sometimes I just drive around to free my mind.
You love another girl, man, bumbo claw. You this Rasta man, bumbo claw. You wear this country, bumbo claw. Bumbo claw. Osigula makawasaja, bumbo claw. Ozala wa balasi, bumbo claw. Nata reko de la kasi, bumbo claw. Bumbo claw. making it clear that when you want no Mickey wasn't murdered. Put your hands up in the air, you ready to go. Come through your city and I'm ready to show. I'm the truth, way the problem if you didn't know. You get up right in your face and I'm gonna need out. I'll show you what you want to do. I ain't got time to deal with your attitude. This is the time to get you in the mood. I'm trying to do something nasty with you and turn it up. I'm a freaky little brother with a whole lot of loot. The boy working with something that I'm kind of cute. Watch the way I do it, I'ma turn it out. Guarantee you we're trying to pull it through.
Coming up after the break.
kusuze kolina kalonde bagambe sabasaba yingeddewo kanuna maaso kafuke moji tunankaliriza eriyo zibe mu bbanga abakyali bange beyond the lookout ate babisanye bemanji kati bitukole byakwegendereza yego kyasirija bikinga tukowera bigere yego obadde ki katalina kyobeera ati webutaba na pulaani ako ngayita buji ku majani ombuza kawanyi yotegeera otya omanyi kiwanvu ki gyembeera gyensiba gyenkeera sente yaleero lyakunoonya n'amaanyi bavuka balero tibakutoba paka last wansi wakolo kyekiriyo kyekijja eri bapoliisi banenge nyigirya mu bukodyo wansi wakolo kyekiri eri bapoliisi muduke wansi wakolo kyekiri eri bapoliisi muduke wansi wakolo kyekiri eri bapoliisi wansi wakolo kyekiri eri bapoliisi
mtu mzima bongo mpaka Uganda unavyodhani ndivyo sivyo maisha ni safari siyokuwa na likizo yaongeza msisitizo kama usimsahau mtu mwenye matatizo wawapi walikuwa nazo na sasa wana tena wamebaki na viulizo waliaitwa maskini leo wamezipata imekuwa sivyo ndivyo estimate and to appreciate no matter situation passing you will tolerate don't get hooked by debate that is life no matter what the time and day take a little more time sit and concentrate
ndivyo sivyo.
This is NTV.
The mountain gorilla is considered endangered species, with only about 720 mountain gorillas left in the world. And these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Burundi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinya Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic. Is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms, a massive chest, and broad hands and feet. It has longer and darker hair than other species, allowing it to live and travel at high altitudes where temperatures drop to below 0 degrees Celsius. The gorillas can be identified by nose individual. Male mountain gorillas stand up to an average height of 6 feet and weigh from 400 to 500 pounds, that is 227 kilograms, making them the largest of the great apes. Males are called silverbacks because they develop a streak of silver hair on their backs with maturity. The silverback is the leader and the ultimate protector of his band. The mountain gorilla is most active between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Most of this time is alternated between foraging, eating, and resting. They are herbivores and consume large amounts of vegetation. Adult males can eat up to 34 kilograms of vegetation a day, while a female can eat as much as 18 kilograms. Females reach breeding age at about 10 years old. They typically bear young every 4 to 5 years, giving birth after a gestation period of 8 to 9 months. The mountain gorilla is generally shy but highly social and lives in relatively stable, cohesive groups of up to 35 individuals. These groups are made up of one silverback, 1 or 2 blackbacks, a few mature female juveniles, and infants.
This is NTV.
Today on Showcase Uganda, we visit Jinja, the city of hidden gems. On your way to Jinja, nestled within Mabira Forest is Mabira Trading Centre. From time immemorial, travellers traversing the Jinja Road have stopped off here, most times beckoned quite energetically by sellers to enjoy the famed Mabira roasted chicken. Besides just offering weary travellers rest, this meal break also offers the opportunity to mingle with the warm and friendly locals, making the experience both exciting and memorable. Mabira Forest, 54 kilometers from Kampala City, is Uganda's largest rainforest and offers visitors a rare tropical experience. A natural forest walk will give you the chance to appreciate the variety of flora and fauna abundant here. forest is brought to life by the sprawling monkey species that inhabit the forest. For all nature lovers, this walkthrough is a must-do. "87 kilometers out of Kampala, we finally arrive at Uganda's second largest commercial centre, Jinja, which was established in 1901. Located on the shores of Lake Victoria, Jinja lies near the source of the White Nile River. The city is the chief town of Jinja district and is considered the capital of the Busoga Kingdom. Jinja hosts a population of approximately 106,000 people, the majority being of Bantu origin and are English speaking. The Busoga Kingdom. Located at Bugembe Hill, this is where the Chabazinga, the Katikiro, and the Royal Clan Council sit. The Busoga Kingdom has a long and interesting historical perspective that explains the very nature and bond of the cultural institutions found in Uganda. Although, quite unlike the typical monarchies in Africa, the Busoga did not have central authorities at the advent of the coming of British rule, but she had nevertheless developed small principalities, each with its own hereditary rulers. These principalities into her central authority under a king called Isebantu Chabazinga, who ruled the Busoga Kingdom. Dancing and drumming form the very core of the Busoga tradition and culture. Having been the industrial pulse of Uganda since the 1960s, it is common sight to come across some of Uganda's larger and more successful industries in Jinja. The industrial landscape has formed the fabric of Jinja's identity and prosperity, which in turn is a huge part of the... One such attraction open to visitors is witnessing the brewing process of a popular brew. When Showcase Uganda returns, we discover Jinja's gems. Jinja's natural endowment is probably most visible here at the Bujagali waterfalls. The mighty yet stunningly beautiful Bujagali Falls are located 15 minutes from Jinja town, some 10 kilometers below Lake Victoria, and a testament of the natural bliss Uganda offers. The luxurious vegetation covering the riverbanks and island, and the startling diversity of bird life, complemented by the multitude of fish, complete the stunning vista of the Omuga Chira, or the White Nile. Be sure to bring along your camera for some memorable pictures.
Every time when the boat didn't flip out.
More than 4,000 miles in length, the Nile River offers thrilling adventures for visitors of all ages and abilities. The Great Waterway has played a monumental role in history, and it traverses an incredible variety of landscapes and a colourful melody of cultures. It has enthralled civilization with its power and mystery, with some of the most powerful and sustained rapids on Earth. Enjoy this adrenaline rush.
And then bring it with you. We've got a big Pelican case. It's like this orange one. Definitely not the orange one. There's a big yellow one over by all the gear. You can bring that with you, okay? The only other thing you need to bring with you other than what you're wearing, and I'm going to talk about that in a sec, is any medications. If any of you guys have asthma or anything like that, you need to let your guide know, okay?
Everybody, okay, it's Joe Broggs out here. We're in the Pearl of Africa. Yes, it's Uganda, and you are about to go. Okay, the one-day mighty White Nile. It's one of God's biggest water features. So hang on really tight, it's gonna get wet. Woo!
Satisfaction in me. A little more fang, a little less fun. A little less fang, a little more spark. Close your mouth and open up your heart and maybe satisfy me. Satisfy me.
the drifts whitewater rafting experience right here on the banks of the mighty River Nile. Our crews are upstream right now practicing how to hold on, how to flip. Last four, big lead into a big kicking wave. You're gonna love this. Check it out.
Also available is the opportunity to experience the Nile High bungee jump. Touted as being one of the most visually impressive bungee jumps in the world, this experience will get anyone's blood pumping. Kites and fish eagles circle the tower as thrill seekers prepare to plunge 44 meters into the source of the Nile. The Nile High bungee jump has been created using world-leading technology that guarantees a state-of-the-art personalized challenge. Safety and environmental sustainability are of utmost importance, and the site is being constructed to international standards. So why not take the cue and take the plunge? After the break, hotels and hangouts. Perched atop a cliff overlooking the source of Africa's longest point for rafting trips and the home for bungee jumping on the Nile. You can pitch a tent here for as little as $2 per night or $3,600. Relax in the bunk dormitories or treat yourself to little more comfort in the well-appointed safari tents. The camp boasts a nicely tiled ablution area and a well-stocked bar within roaring distance of the rapids on the Nile. 5 minutes walk from the campsite is this swimming pool. Camp residents can make use of the beautiful pool for a token amount per day, as well as treat themselves to a buffet meal. Great value meals are served daily at the camp. Enjoy the Mongolian dishes or cook up your own feast, whatever tickles your fancy. Like most other developed towns in Uganda, Jinja is also famed for its variety of nightclubs. Sombreros is Jinja's finest discotheque. Coupled with its exquisite fittings and impeccable taste of furnishings, the laid-back music creates the perfect atmosphere to unwind and relax. A special way to wind up an activity-packed day. Next week on Showcase Uganda, we head east.
This is NTV.
Today on Who We Are, still in the east, we are in the green rolling hills of eastern Uganda, inhabited by the Bamasaba. The Bamasaba are a Bantu tribe inhabiting the eastern Ugandan districts of Sironko, Manafwa, Manjia and Mbale. Closely related to the Bukusu of western Kenya, they are mainly agricultural people. The origins of the Bamasaba is not known, but oral traditions carried over generations points at Egypt as the traditional homeland. But this could be the similar epicenter where other migrations from the lower Nile and northwestern Ethiopia took place at the close of the millennium, approximately 900 AD. The current Babukusu of western Kenya are believed to have migrated from the Bamasaba, particularly from areas around Bubulo in current Manafwa district. The term Bamasaba is sometimes used interchangeably with the term Bagisu, even though the latter is actually a subgroup of the main Bamasaba group and were the first settlers on Mountain Elgon's western and southwestern slopes. Today we are going to witness an old age famous tradition of the Bamasaba, male circumcision. The ritual, which is long and complex, is popularly known as Imalu. These circumcision ceremonies are held every even year in a 3-day ceremony of dancing and feasting preceding a couple of months' preparations. The initiates are admitted into adulthood and expected to begin their formal contribution to the growth of their respective communities. But how, when and why did Imalu start and who started it? There's some theories explaining the origin and history of Imalu.
Impalu ya mwambuni nabafu ganiyana nika yes bali hukana babolele ganiyana yani nikano yani yakumwaka 18 gumu okula shere kushikala basinde kucha mumwe era fefenga wao halo mwana ta kufa wao mwambu niye wanani hembalu ganani hembalu ayiro muhano murwa mweko ni omulanga bali nabarwa niye wanani kana hembalu ana osanga na ayiro muhana yoyo wamulomari wambilire injira nengo wambire nawo ninjire hembalu nyombi ngakwingira ta sese inkwali akuiwe mwambu mwana omutini ta gano omuntu wenjira embalu nga nasiningira kale mu shimirwa shefwe shafukirira lw'omuhukana nabi umukirama wewe wingira kumusamba kwe barwa wakurera mungu muno nganakurera mungu muno paka kusala babana bakhalemba lubakashirere babandu besi abama mushikuka sha mwambu bingilemba lubakashirere ali niwo bamasaba niye isimbalu yanamikano niyo yakenda mu masaba bosi.
From 1801 to 1917, Imalu used to take place in odd years. This fact changed in 1920 when 2 years were skipped, 1918 and 1919, and the rituals were conducted in even years in the months of July to December. That too is about to change because during these months, children escape from school to enjoy the ceremonies and festivities. During this time, they are exposed to sexual exploitation, the whole process ending into teenage pregnancies and out of schools, especially of girls. The choice of who has got to be circumcised depends on the following. The novice, referred to as Omsinde, may express his interest to be circumcised. The father of the novice may nominate him for circumcision whether he wants to be circumcised or not, or a decision may be made by the elders to have him circumcised. The council of elders is comprised of different clans, and these passes the final number of boys that are to be circumcised. When the final number of novices has been selected and agreed upon, their parents are allotted such that they can start preparing for the celebrations and festivities.
Lwekuba kigira bafukiriza kikuka shefu okwingira empalu lwekuba kisoni shefu ekimirwa shefu ekyo kyanywa okwingira mu masaba bosi kigira biza obusana wa mwambu babone abana ba mwambu nga nibingira empalu kigira bizana bamasaba bosi era bamani mu Kenya bezana okwingiza bale bawe abanywa okwingira empalu.
They prepare the dress code for the novice, which includes bells and a skin of a colobus monkey. A ritual is performed at the novice's home, which is the first step into initiation. They prepare roasted chicken and roast. After this small ritual at home, the boy is stripped and given the traditional attire for Imalu. After this ceremony, the novice or Omusinde starts dancing around the village in preparation for the actual circumcision. He may be alone or in groups of boys from different families. The candidates are accompanied by their sisters, mothers, as well as well-wishers on the dance tour around the villages. The common dance performed is a famous relatives are also smeared with malua for distinction. This dancing around the villages used to take place over 6 months, but this has changed. Due to the rapid growth of the economy and Uganda's education calendar, it has been cut down to only a few months, and the time of the day changed to evenings. The novices take the evening off schoolwork and engage in the dancing. Azisonja in Lumasaba is a drill but also a way of soliciting money from community members. As the days to the launch and circumcision are smeared with yeast, they continue dancing. The yeast is an indicator that the novice is left with 2 or 3 days to the last ritual before.
Sirebwaho khukana khumanyisya andu umwana wase wakanemba lwali khumbalo nenga so wakanemba lutasakhibwa khuwakhibwa kamamela ako wakenda mubalebeta.
On the last day, various clans converge at a common ground where shrines called Mulusha have been built. The gathering is a sign of unity, demonstrating to the youth about to be one and must live as brothers.
Ama mutsu munyo bamukhala we makhulushako yo bamukhala kijana fwe uko bisayechi yewe niyo kwakhala banana babana bewe babitsukuru bewe.
There are several stopovers at the top of the hill. At every stopping point, there's a lot of singing, dancing, and brandishing of sticks. The older youth and men who have experienced circumcision novices ugume, meaning be firm, be firm.
Fue kutienda kwa makale imparugu mogu. Impalita. Bakere buto. Utafune udani. Bana wangu batufa. Ukanyukanyukenda. Kuna mazi. Nyodo kukodolepo. Wabo ni mada yako soma. Kukodolepo. Ali mzee.
At the final shrine, the elders first go up to the heart of the shrine where Serpent Oshok must appear and lick some bushara from the palm of the leader of the elders. The boys are then blessed by the elders who spit mawa on their chests.
Gabagumye mitima gino gibere migumu agenda aje wanonga ategede nti ali mugumu
ate n'omukolo ogwo gulina amaanyi mangi mulimu abawala abatazaala
ne bazaala nabo mulimu abalenzi nabo abalenzi nabo bwe batyo
kulaba bakyala nga nabo bazine
bakaya ate nga buli muntu
waliwo kyendabye ndabye nga mutadde wansi obusuwa naye amaloga ne gagezaako
amalwago okuyiika kati tuyise bano bona abali wano abaafwa bona ntitubakuŋŋaanya ne bajja mu nsuwa omwo kati amalwago bwe tejja mu nsuwa ne twogera ebigambo ne galinnya ne gayiika wansi
kyamugisa okuyiika wansi kiki lwaki gayiika
gayiika nti awete esanyu
bategede nti abafu abo bakutte kati
bagakutte kati nabo bali mu ssanyu nabo bali mu kunywa kati bali mu ssanyu basanyuka gayiika kati nabo bali kunywa.
This practice can only be done by men who are father to a boy child. This symbolizes that the ritual will go on well and that the ancestors are pleased to join them in the festivities.
Bali abajjajja abatuzaala bakolanga bwe batyo n'okutuusa nakati naffe ndio tugusangawo si kwe gusooka gulinga ogwabadde mudodo. Enkya kati oba oyagala tuli n'olaba wali ku mugga
kyekikolebwa ku mugga
onaalaba onaakiraba oli okutegeeza.
The following day, the novices are taken down to a stream of water for circumcision. Relatives proceeds to the Sacred Hearts. After this ritual, the novices disperse into smaller groups to their maternal homes. When the novice is finally ready in full costume, he is brought to be smeared with the chime and more yeast. The leader of the elders mixes the chime and smears it onto the novice's chest, arms, legs and back. When the elders have performed this duty, the novices are summoned to jump up and down. The elders have words of encouragement for the novices. Be firm, be firm. Give it a firm stomach, be strong. The novice is then told to shuck off and sing a song. This is usually at the courtyard where he is going to be circumcised. All the candidates are given positions ready for the ritual. Usually the oldest of the batch is the first one to face the knife. There's a lot of tension and anxiety just before the operation takes place. The novice then braces himself and makes his way to the circumcision spot. The circumciser or omuche. A way is made and the novice pushes through the crowd to the spot where only close relatives are standing to ensure that the operation goes on smoothly. He must be strong and is not expected to scream or flinch during the circumcision, otherwise the family will be disgraced. It is of great stand strong during the circumcision to show that he is capable and ready to become a man. The novice stands firm and the assistant circumciser prepares him and thereafter invites a senior circumciser who quickly cuts off the first skin. The relatives standing close to him shout words of relief to the adult in the making. There you are, you have been spoiled. What follows after this varies from one county to another. In North Bufumbo County, the wound is washed and later trimmed. The same may go south at one's choice. Finally, the elder takes a close look at the umufulu or the newly circumcised before he is covered and made to sit down. If a man, even an elder, ceremony, he will never be referred to as a man and he will never earn the respect of the community. Ostensibly, he will actually be cursed until the spirits force him to perform this ceremony. The initiates are thus admitted into adulthood after this ceremony and are expected to begin their formal contribution to the growth of their respective communities. That's it for this edition.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
Have any credibility anymore in this country.
Your audit report criticizes the NRM party for failing to fulfill its manifesto's promises.
NRM says the report is biased and misguided.
Tuesday evening, the 29th day of May 2012, and it is 9 p.m. and we're broadcasting live from our news studios here in Kampala, and you're right on time for NTV Tonight.
Tonight, growing pressure in Parliament to weed out corrupt judges and magistrates. Members of Parliament want the recruitment of judges to be open to public
scrutiny. So be sure to have your say on NTV poll tonight. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight, and packaging all the day's developments, starting right now with tonight's main headlines. Also tonight, overhauling the legal system.
MPs call for an open forum and scrutiny of the judicial system.
Following yesterday's closure of the Kampala Land Board,
Kampala Lord Mayor allocates office space to embattle Chairman Yusuf Nsibambi.
And security agents in Nairobi are now hunting for 2 people in connection with yesterday's blast in the Kenyan capital, which injured 35 people.
Good evening and thank you for joining us here on NTV Tonight. I am Faith Eriho.
And I'm Morris Mugisha. We are glad you could join us. Now, an audit report released by a consortium of Ugandan non-government organizations suggests that the NRM government has performed poorly in tackling corruption, restoring the economy and protecting citizens' rights over the past year.
The report released by the Uganda Governance Monitoring Platform analyzed the promises the NRM party made in its 2011 election manifesto and weighed them against demands they collected from Ugandans last year to arrive at a conclusion.
But the NRM's deputy spokesperson, Ofono Pondo, has dismissed the report as biased and misguided.
Krista Chamringa opens tonight's newscast.
The audit report documents the performance of the NRM government in relation to its implementation of key areas of the party's 2011-2016 manifesto. The report begins by taking a swipe at the NRM party for what it calls its failure to improve Uganda's microeconomic stability and keeping inflation to a single digit as was promised in its election manifesto. It also questions the NRM party's pledge of reducing poverty and unemployment.
This last 1 year is one of the years where we've had lots of problems, especially around inflation, around our, drops in GDP growth and all that. And I think what we are asking the NRM to work on is to emphasize the issue of decisively dealing with issues of corruption, focusing again on the issues of quality in education, focusing more on issues of law and order and upholding, the whole levels of constitutionalism.
The democratic credentials of the NRM party, as well as its efforts of tackling corruption, were also described as being off track in relation to the implementation of the pledges made in the 2011 manifesto. In response, the NRM's deputy spokesperson, Ofono Opondo, dismissed the report as skewed and misguided.
Our promise had 14 pillars. I want to reduce those to only 4. Peace, security, and stability. There is nobody who can challenge the NRM in the last 1 year that we have not improved and consolidated security throughout the country, throughout the region. They are doing it to enlist funding from their funders. I don't think NGOs have any credibility anymore in this country.
This view was also shared by other participants.
It has been rather biased and it is not so objective like it should have been.
However, a number of opposition politicians were in agreement with the findings.
Governance in this country leaves a lot to be desired.
The audit report is based on a collection of views from ordinary citizens about what they would like to see the government do for them. One of its key recommendations is that the government should focus more on addressing the concerns of its citizens instead of what they called politicking. Krista Chamringa, NTV, Kampala.
Now, members of parliament are tonight calling for the process of recruitment of judges to be open to public scrutiny. The MPs argue that this will help assist in the fight against weeding out corrupt judges and magistrates. The legislators are drawing lessons from Kenya's experience, where judges were recently subjected to open interviews, which resulted in the dropping of 5 senior judges from the bench. Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, the Secretary to the Judicial Service Commission, Kagole Chivumbi, reported that the Commission was awaiting approval of their recently submitted proposal to Cabinet and the Public Service for the review of judges' salaries.
Due to the widespread corruption among judges and magistrates in Kenya, 5 of the senior judges failed to pass the interview after the public was allowed to submit information about their conduct. The fresh interviews were aired live on Kenyan televisions. Ugandan MPs urged that subjecting the recruitment of judges to public scrutiny would assist Ugandans to weed out the corrupt. But the Secretary to the Judicial Service Commission, Kagole Chivumbi, says since February this year, inroads have been made to discipline judges and magistrates.
It's very vital for the public to engage itself in the recruitment of judges because it helps in checking their background information.
In Kenya, they have a public hearing. Someone applies, the names are put in the papers and say, so and so is going to become a judge. So you have a suggestion box which you have failed to buy here. That's yes. Why I'm now purchasing suggestion boxes. That's why you didn't buy them. How do you know that this judge you are appointing is not a thief?
Supplement chair. Did you say there was a mad judge?
Supplement chair. There was a mad judge. That's obvious. Another one was escaped being prosecuted.
The clerks are a collecting center for money for magistrates, and they are ready to talk, but they do not know who to tell. So please create an open forum.
They even ask bribes of 100,000. 50. When you want to get them, the man choose money like a goat.
And Ugandans these days are very conscious. Others have submitted very good information on those candidates. What we do, we present it to them that this is what the public feels. Somebody feels should not be a judge, and we present it.
Can we carry it further than that? Kwizera was talking of the suggestion boxes, where I believe, the public can make an input.
There's a total of 30 who had applied, but who were, through public scrutiny, members of the public would come, say that one we know is not the right person, and they provided evidence.
However, Kagole Chivumbi says the Commission is facing challenges of lack of quorum for the disciplinary committee, whose allowances are a drop in the ocean.
140,000 per sitting, and that's all. Now, in a month, they have a round consolidated mileage of 356,000 after tax.
Nevertheless, the Commission has so far handled 152 cases of indiscipline, while 30 failed the test to be appointed magistrates. Kagole also says names of the proposed justices to fill up the vacant positions in the Supreme Court are now before the President, awaiting Cabinet approval and the Parliament.
The higher levels, the Supreme Court, the process is in very advanced stages for the recruitment of the 5 justices of the Supreme Court. For the Court of Appeal, the shortlists have been done.
Kagole also reported that he had submitted a proposal to review the salary of judges. He declined to disclose how much a judge would be paid.
We have submitted the recommendation on the salary structure and the terms of judges, not only sitting judges, but also the retirement after their retirement.
Otherwise, we are not going to fight corruption in the judiciary when they are earning less than a driver in Kampala City Authority.
Currently, the Chief Justice and Justice of the Supreme Court earn between 4 and 5 million shillings, which MPs believe is so little compared to a driver at KCCA who earns 70 million shillings. Jinja Francis, NTV Parliament.
Now, it is from that story that we engage you tonight in our NTV poll this evening. We'd like to hear from you on this issue. So we're asking,
do you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized by the public? I repeat, do you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized by the public?
Well, to have your say, do text your yes or no answer to 8778, and please do leave your name and where you are. We will be sampling some of your comments during tonight's newscast and also bring you the final poll result at the tail end of this bulletin.
Now moving on, security agents in Nairobi are tonight hunting for 2 people in connection with yesterday's blast in the Kenyan capital, which left 30 people injured. The police say the explosion could have been an improvised explosive device as opposed to earlier reports of an electrical short circuit. However, human rights activist Hassan Shire Sheikh says the Al-Shabaab are now taking advantage of the porous borders to wage further attack in East Africa. Hassan, however, noted that there is a need for security agencies across the region in order to lighten security and to help encourage the public to increase their vigilance and prevent further attacks.
Yesterday, clouds of smoke filled the skies and choked Moi Avenue in Nairobi's central business district when an explosion went off at 1:15 p.m., injuring 35 people. Today, police confirmed that the explosion came from an improvised bomb, contrary to yesterday's reports that the bloody incident was caused by an electrical fault.
This constitutes or forms what we refer to as IEDs, improvised explosive devices.
They might even use fertilizers, they might use other chemicals, they might use, some other sharpener things and all that, so that they want to maximum impact. Al-Shabaab now is like a dying horse.
AMISOM forces last week captured most of the key Al-Shabaab strongholds like Afgoye, and the pursuit continues. But according to Hassan Shire Sheikh, a human rights defender in East Africa and Somalia, this terrorist group is retreating and changing tact opting for neighboring Kenya whenever there are any possible loopholes in security.
Our intelligence can do better, and I always say that even in Kenya, whereby they develop more advanced tactics in order to prevent, because prevention and vigilance must be top emphasized rather than fighting after things happen. And I think that there's a lot of improvement.
A big fraction of the Kenyan population are of Somali origin, who largely contribute to the country's economy. But Hassan advises that the fight against terror should not be aimed at a specific group, but the entire community at large.
It's a negative idea which anybody could attract you into. So it's ideological kind of things. So it can be Kenyans, Ugandans, Burundians, Ethiopians.
After yesterday's blast in Nairobi, hundreds gathered, including government officials, at the scene, but this, Hassan says, could have been a target of a secondary bomb by the terror group.
That type of scene must be handled by designated security people, not even all security people. But ordinary people must be avoided because it can attract again to another large-scale atrocities committed by the terrorists.
There have been reports that the Al-Shabaab take advantage of unemployed youths to coerce them into the ruthless act as a means of survival.
And if you are unemployed, you cannot become a devil's workshop by killing other fellow citizens. Terrorists as an act cannot be justified by any means.
Yesterday, counter-terrorism experts in the region met in Addis Ababa and agreed that military action is not the only means to combat terrorism, but what needs to be done.
We have to devise what we call it heart and minds strategy.
Research has shown that the fight against terrorism is not only the responsibility of security agents, and to fight the vice completely, the public must remain vigilant and report any suspicious objects or people within the community to the security agents. And the seconds spent in doing so will save so many lives. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago has allocated office space to embattled City Land Board Chairman Yusuf Sibambi to enable him to perform his duties. The move follows yesterday's closure of the board's office premises by police officers to reportedly help facilitate their ongoing investigations into fraud at the establishment.
Police sealed off the city land board offices on Sunday pending investigations into allegations of fraud and abuse of office. This follows the dismissal of the secretary to the board, Sarah Kusima, who was later replaced by Diana Nambi. Its chairman, Yusuf Nsibambi, last week accused police of breaking into his offices and later alleged that their accounts had been tampered with.
But close to 3.5 billion vanished in thin air in the hands of KCCA executive or technical wing. So we are going to call upon the executive director, the director of revenue collection, and the director of finance to account for that money. We have carried out a search and we have information and documents which we are going to present, and most probably we may end up prosecuting those individuals.
Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesman Ibn Sekumbi denies the allegations, saying detectives were only interested in vital documents that would aid their investigations. The KCCA Kampala Land Board Row has also sacked in the Lord Mayor Arias Lukwago, who has thrown in his weight behind Sibambi and allocated him office space.
I'm going to hand over the office to the chairperson and the team, and that's the reason they are here, with the keys to conduct official business for and on behalf of the government of Uganda.
Lukwago says the board's disbandment is illegal, adding that police had erred in their actions on Sunday.
We're now going to take a short break, but there is so much ahead on NTV tonight, including
Wondergame Medical Center at loggerheads with KCCA over the disposal of hazardous medical waste.
And on the farm this week, we are growing groundnuts in Padari district. NTV tonight continues after this short break. See you shortly.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now we start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. Tonight we ask,
do you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized by the public? I repeat, do you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized by the public?
All right, this is how the poll stands so far.
Well, so far 80% of you say yes and 20% of you say no.
All right, a look at some of your comments. An anonymous SMS here that says, no, public hearings will create mobs of disgruntled litigants against otherwise good judges and magistrates.
And Ambassador Joyce here says, well, unless the people scrutinizing them are professional and have information and knowledge, but yes, it keeps them accountable.
Let me take one more quickly here. A watch from Kole says, yes, that is the way to go. Judges have to be accountable to the people. The judicial power is derived from the people. Moving on. Now, it is a commonplace for large hospitals to have incinerators where hazardous medical waste is burnt.
However, for clinics which are confined mainly to urban areas and have limited operational space, disposing used medical material is a big challenge.
Today, Wandegea Medical Center almost faced closure at the hands of KCCA health inspectors after its waste was found mixed with ordinary rubbish deposited by other tenants of the building that houses the clinic.
Oh my Lord, I have my mind here. Then that is a different story.
The director of Wandegea Medical Center, Dr. Everest Baruga, was at pains to explain the hygiene conditions at his clinic to KCCA officials who claimed it has failed to manage its medical waste.
So I don't know about those. How can I go and find out? Is it my expertise to know what is inside there? I don't know who brought them, but I'm not responsible for that.
The Nabugabo Abdil joint venture, a company responsible for garbage collection within the city, saying they are not obligated to deal with garbage that has been contaminated with used medical material.
What we had to do was to inform our bosses, the KCCA members, and they came, they talked to the doctor, but still the doctor insisted. Unfortunately, we found even the syringes that contain blood.
If they might have found it, that something has been dumped there for years. Okay. Why do I become responsible to bring a truck to bring to take those things away? As I have told you, the amount of needles I have is so small. This is like asking you to bring a truck to carry a chicken when you are coming from Makerere to the town.
Okay. Health experts at KCCA say this is a common practice around clinics in Kampala, a vice they are now trying to deal with.
Nabugabo is taking organic, it's not taking what? The medical waste. So Muzei, what he has to do is to get the medical waste, which up to now, he hasn't got the people to take the medical what? The medical waste. We have kids play around, the needles will inject what? They will pierce them.
Such garbage that has medical waste in it is not only risky to the public but also to the collectors. The clinic was saved from closure only because it had a resident patient. KCCA, however, issued its director with a notice of improvement valid for only 2 days. Medical waste poses a serious threat to both public health and the environment if not disposed of properly, with risks including potential infectious diseases. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Now let's take a look at more stories making headlines in Uganda. Teachers in public or government schools have launched a campaign demanding better quality public education, whose quality has dwindled in the country over the past years. These students at Swa Primary School in Bwolobi, a Kampala suburb, are attending an English class, which is a routine for them. But unlike before, the students, close to 60 in this class, have increased after government introduced the universal primary education system to which the school subscribes to. The overpopulation in classrooms is one of the causes of what education officials and civil society members are terming a crisis in public education.
To the Church of Uganda leadership, to the Muslim community leadership under UMEA and other educational faith groups, the Orthodox Church, the Baptist churches, born-again churches that have schools, get involved in the schools to make sure children have lunch, to make sure teachers are teaching, to make sure parents are engaged in schooling, in the schools process.
The campaign is also pushing for an increase in the education sector budget and provision of meals in schools.
Meanwhile, city vendors have protested over the closure of the market management offices by KCCA officials for 2 months since the last vendor verification exercise was carried out. The act has since not gone down well with the vendors, who claim they used to borrow money from the offices to sustain their businesses. Carrying placards, the vendors demanded the reopening of their offices. But it wasn't long before police and KCCA law enforcement officers came in and anti-riot police deployed at the scene.
And in other news, the Makerere University Acting Vice Chancellor Professor Venantius Bariamureba has called upon the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the Auditor General to expedite the investigations leveled against him of allegations of financial mismanagement of a project and inconsistencies over the construction of the ICT buildings at Makerere. He insists this has damaged his image and has jeopardized his chances in the race for a substantive Vice Chancellor after the university initiated a such process.
Every week, you may call it a whistleblower, you may call it a plan. Someone comes up with new queries to be investigated on this project. And from information that I have, there is a section of people that are interested in these investigations going on until the search process is over.
He maintains that he has only worked in the best interest of Makerere University and will continue to do so.
Now, over 100 countries grow groundnuts worldwide. In fact, it is one of the world's leading 15 food crops grown mainly in Asia and Africa. In Uganda, it is the second most widely grown crop after beans, concentrated in the eastern and northern parts of the country. Over the years, production has dwindled depending on factors like early or late harvesting, pest and quality seed, which has forced farmers to quit groundnut growing and opting for other crops. For one farmer in Kitgum, whom NTV visited, quitting is not an option.
We search out for Agostino Chiti as early as 6:30 a.m. and find him already in the garden with his family, ploughing land set for simsim planting.
Grown on small scales, with a long period of not actively utilizing the land, much of the natural vegetation regenerated. So you get an area has wide coverage of maybe small trees, which hinders mechanization.
And why do you have to scream at me? For most farmers in Kitgum, using oaks or bulls to plow land is a relief from the hard work of digging through this fast-growing grass.
Normally, we use it until 10. That's when we rescue them from also that at dusk.
However, acquiring ox plows is not easy, and for most farmers, the offer came from NGOs.
We have to feed them well and, in fact, spray them.
Early in April, after plowing this quarter-acre of land off sorghum and this acre, Ochiti left them bare in preparation for groundnut. For groundnuts to grow well, crops such as simsim and other cereals are the ones which should be rotated.
After some 2 to 1 week, when it rots.
After rotting or decomposing, the soil was fertile enough for the groundnut seed. This ensures good germination.
We plant it in row, in line, so that it make it the weeding easy.
Also keeping the rosette disease away, which attacks the groundnut. Rows make the pods have uniform maturity, better quality seed and high yields, according to the groundnut manual for Uganda. Ochiti and family weed these nuts after every 3 weeks until the 3 months they harvest them. For Ochiti and Son, no chemical is used. Nature takes its course, and for weeding, hoes are used, though hand usage is advised. Among the challenges faced during production are wandering cattle.
And also some other pests which live in the bush, like the rats. The people who use these rods, like this one, when it matured, they may even break it.
To avoid a buildup of pests and diseases, groundnut should not be grown continuously on the same land. A rotation of 3 years or more can reduce disease, pests and weed problems. But despite the problems, the family waits out the growth period, which is received, but not with joy.
The main challenge Ochiti and his son faced during this whole process is during the harvest period.
they produce less. That is because this type of groundnut called Sereda 2 depreciates over time.
It was distributed almost 5 years ago. When it was first distributed, we harvested much. I don't know what is happening.
Groundnuts have lost market value all over the country. From this quarter-acre piece of land, Ochiti will harvest not more than 3 sacks, and from this land he may get 5 sacks.
It follows the season also and the type of the garden you are. And when you weed it properly, you will harvest more.
In the groundnut manual for Uganda, the recommended time for harvesting is at 4 months. So the fact that Ochiti harvests his at 3 months could be one reason for the low yield. Some farmers delay to harvest and end up having groundnut with aflatoxin, a toxic substance which when eaten in large amounts can cause hepatitis and or liver cancer. Pests also damage the crop, hence building up fungus, reducing the yield. Some farmers have abandoned the seed, but Ochiti is determined to struggle with it. Groundnuts improve soil fertility, hence increasing productivity of other crops. So Ochiti has interplanted them with maize and some peas. According to the groundnut seed production manual, groundnut is the 6th most important oilseed crop in the world, containing about 50% oil and about 28% protein. It is a rich source of dietary fiber, minerals and vitamins. Knowingly or unknowingly of this fact, Ochiti already saves enough to be consumed by his family of over 25 members. Kitgum is experiencing rains which favor this crop. The dry season is out for planting.
Because we don't have permanent water whereby we can use to irrigate them.
Ochiti and son Uchula only grow groundnuts once in a year, contrary to the 2 recommended seasons.
We are not used to this season of first season and second season.
To them, the next season, the only one in a year, means early March or April 2013, and the second season is only in their future plans. Florence Nalimba, NTV Kitgum.
Now Joel Kamadi is here to take us through business. Joel, what should we expect tonight?
Thank you very much, Faith. Thank you, Maurice. Well, it seems very many people are continuing to save with NSSF. Now, workers' savings have grown by 20% in the year ending March 2012 from a year ago. I will be telling you this and so much more in NTV Business up next.
East African Legislative Assembly schools. Unfortunately, we are predicted that this year, the next 5 years, Uganda is meant to be the one having a speaker. So it's an advantage. That's why, like I mentioned earlier, that we must pick people with the competencies.
Kuwaridi tetusosola.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
evening, I'm Joel Kamadi and welcome to NTV Business. Tonight, there is no guarantee that the early days of oil production in Uganda will improve Uganda's foreign exchange position and thus its current account. Citigroup's African economic expert David Cohen says oil producers have to go through the phase of profit repatriation by investors before real impact is seen on export numbers. Samuel Situmba has more.
Will the start of oil production help more dollars flow into the country and reduce the pressure on the shilling? Not necessarily, experts argue. To have such optimism is to miss certain facts, to the end that the impact of oil revenues takes time to be felt on such areas like the exchange rate.
Even when you start to produce oil afterwards and your exports start to rise a little bit going forward, remember that the companies that have invested in that oil field development also need to see a rate of return out of it. They haven't invested for free. The companies that have developed the oil fields paying back the investments, the investments that they've had to make, and also their own earnings they have to pay shareholders who've given them the money.
Besides that, there shall be more dollar outflows as companies in the oil sector do more investment even when actual production has started. Meanwhile, the expectation of some political turmoil has got some investors adopt a tough skin, especially in attractive areas like Africa.
I think you would be surprised. Investors can live with politics, political uncertainty. They can live with more political uncertainty than people think if they think they're getting the right rate of returns out of it. So where politics impacts is that it means that people sometimes demand a slightly higher rate of return. In Kenya, you may say, we're not going to open a factory or make a big investment commitment before the elections, let's just see how it goes, we'll put it off for 6 months.
Such is the change of climate, where former investment havens are uncertain, and Africa is attracting investors of many sorts, the hyped precarious politics of Africa notwithstanding. Samuel Situmba, NTV Business.
Now, workers' savings have grown by 20% in the year ending March 2012 from a year ago. According to the unaudited accounts published by the National Social Security Fund Management, better returns from some of the investments and a more aggressive collection system helped the growth of the fund. We have more in the following report.
Will workers saving with the National Social Security Fund get more than the 6% interest rate they got last year? That is not clear yet, but the latest NSSF figures show a June 2011 profit of 81 billion shillings, with this year promising better returns because where the fund put most of its funds has ironically performed better in these tricky economic times. The fund sank about half of all the monies held in fixed income investments, which means fixed deposit accounts and government treasury bills and bonds. With high inflation and high interest rates, thus the returns are expected to be better. As of March 2012, unaudited accounts, the fund holds nearly 2.5 trillion shillings, a 20% growth from a year ago. The sapping factor remains the Alcon court case, for which 43 billion shillings has been set aside, an increase of more than 6 billion a year ago.
Now, in the equity markets, there were no changes in the stock prices in all counters, while the shilling continues to maintain a fairly strong stance against the dollar. We have more in the following report. And finally, in NTV Business tonight, while the financial year is drawing to a close, a few youth have been able to access the 25 billion Youth Venture Capital Fund provided by government owing to stringent conditions.
Many people, particularly the youth, interested in accessing credit to finance their businesses, are believed to meet challenges associated with insufficient planning as well as duplicating already existing enterprises. A strategic plan to support small and medium enterprises streamline their operations as well as reap from benefits of specialization is what the Management Training and Advisory Center, now wants to realize in this quest.
With the clustering, you get people who will be sort of working together in sort of clusters. So these are cooperatives. These are cooperatives both in the area of production and in the area of marketing. The minute they put their forces together and they have clear guidelines of how they are going to work together, that is going to be the answer to our problems.
Relatedly, experts believe that the match between academic training as well as reaching down to communities where different economic activities run is a problem that needs focus.
Can I see the people who are really leading the revolution of Uganda now, the generation leading the revolution of Uganda? Each generation has a revolution, and the revolution of this and the next generation is entrepreneurship.
Dr. George Tumwesije, the institution's executive director, says establishing centers across the country and closer to clustered areas of trade and commerce is also under budget.
We made a proposal of about 3.3 billion in 1 year to train about 10,000 young people. And out of these 10,000 young people, we assume that about 50% of them would start enterprises. We also assumed that whoever starts an enterprise is going to employ a total of minimum of 3 people.
Reina Urgin, NTV Business.
And that winds up NTV Business for tonight. Back to you, Maurice and Faith.
Thanks,
Joel. Thank you, Joel.
See you tomorrow.
Well, join me after the break for the latest in sport, including a fracas that broke out at Nambole Stadium over the alleged non-payment of taxes. NTV Sport is up next.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Faith Eriho. Now, a fracas ensued at the Mandela National Stadium this morning as the Kira Town Council law enforcement team tried to close the stadium due to the alleged non-payment of taxes. Although they successfully closed the hotel wing of the stadium, they failed to close the stadium main gate after the Nambole staff quickly intervened.
All of the information is on the paper.
Where is it? But
we have always been here and even said
bring the paper that closes
come
us
and
up.
make payments.
We want the paper that closes us up.
The rest of the part, if you mean to take us to
Yeah, we want it done professionally.
Because we have been here for the last 4 years. Don't you have copies of that? Don't you have copies of?
You know the management you're talking about?
I mean management.
You don't know. You
Which
come and
management?
close.
Which
you
management?
don't talk to the management. You close.
There is a new management.
So you want
you're
the
saying.
paper that closes.
But the old management, the new management takes over from the old management.
So if you have not been introduced to the new management, what are you talking about?
But we have talked to the new management for three times
You
now.
know the new management? You don't know. You close.
I mean the new management. We are talking in terms of the new management. We have talked to the new management, the current management, for 3 times now.
Can you mention the name of the current management?
I mean, why do I have to mention the names?
So who is the current management?
I mean, when we talk,
the paper that closes us.
but you are talking of management. This is the meaning. Therefore, that there is a management. We have to know somebody by name that this one is.
Unless you need to know that there is a manager, then you talk about that.
This
manager.
is not the personal property where
Exactly.
we. Yeah. So there is management.
So you close with.
What we are saying is that our part is finished.
You don't have the.
Our part is done. The rest is handled by the town clerk, town treasurer, town council has management. Like Nambole has management.
So we open.
Now, meanwhile, the increasing rate of injuries within the Uganda Cranes team is a major worry for head coach Bobby Williamson ahead of the team's World Cup qualifier game against Angola on Sunday. Striker Sula Matuvu joined Musa Mude and Geoffrey Massa on the list of injuries after yesterday's training a match against the junior national team.
Striker Sula Matuvu was put on a recovery program this morning as the rest of the Uganda Cranes players went through the morning training session. Matuvu picked up an injury during yesterday's training match against the national junior team, the Hippos. His counterparts Geoffrey Massa and Mude Musa joined the team during the warm-up session, but Massa was kept out of the main training. Team coach Bobby Williamson believes the players will recover in time for the games in Kampala. Despite the injuries, defender Hassan Waswa is positive ahead of Sunday's game in Rwanda.
It's a new campaign, it's a World Cup qualifier campaign. So I think we're going to give all our all on Sunday. So with God's grace, I think we shall do it, we shall make it. So I think it's all up to us on Sunday. So come Sunday, we shall see what will happen.
Meanwhile, defender Henry Karungi arrived in camp this morning. His counterparts Denison Nyango, Moses Soroya and Brian Omonyi were due to join the team for the afternoon training. Sam Poza, NTV Sport.
Now, pool is one of the several other games that are picking up in upcountry areas. In Gulu, senior players from the Homies Pool Club have organized teams in the district to identify the best to represent the region in the Nile Pool Championship, and also with the aim of starting a regional league later this year. There is an increasing enthusiasm for pool in the district, especially with the growing popularity of the Nile Pool Championship that has become a national competition that has seen various regions challenging for the top prizes. In Gulu, preparations are in higher gear, with the lead players in the district playing each other in order to identify the team that will participate in the Nile Pool Championship that begins next weekend. Despite the difficulties of raising funds, of transportation and acquiring uniforms, the players have hope of making a huge impact, especially against Kampala-based players who have dominated the national team events. The district has in recent months seen the emergencies of 12 new teams. However, the biggest challenge is now in controlling errant players and fans, since everyone wants to claim bragging rights. The umpires are expected to be sent by the Pool Association of Uganda.
In fact, I'm seeing a lot of improvement, and the number of players who are playing these days those days we used to have like 32 players, but these days we can play around 64 players, which is a big improvement. I've organized this tournament to select the best players in Gulu district for forthcoming events. There are a number of clubs from Kampala who have sent us letters. They are willing to play us friendly games, and these are one of the tournaments I'm trying to organize to select the best players in Gulu.
And finally, Gulu Amateur Volleyball Club are up to the task of saving face in the National Premier League, where they have only managed 2 wins in 6 fixtures of the first round. Despite being cash-strapped, the players have not lost hope of winning the title in their maiden appearance at the top competition.
Gulu Amateur Volleyball Club are 1 place off the relegation zone of the ongoing National League. They have only managed 2 wins from 6 games and are 7th in the league, 1 place off the 3 to be relegated from the 10-team competition. Despite this poor show from last season's Serie B winners, the players are up to the task to redeem themselves of the poor run in the first round.
In Serie A, you don't joke around, you have to train extremely hard. I must say this is not really very hard. We are trying our best. Our target is to still win Serie A, just like we did in Serie B. We are trying our best and we are really playing hard.
The club is also struggling to raise money to keep afloat. And for now, players have to foot their transport and welfare bills, a situation that has had a negative impact on the team. They played 3 league games in Kampala last weekend and managed only 1 win. They lost to Kampala Amateur Volleyball Club by 1-2 before going down against the Monsters in straight sets.
We were almost a half squad. We did not have our center ball players. We had only external outside ball player attackers, but we gave them a feel of what Gulu Volleyball Club is.
However, they expect to play better in the next round since Uganda Amateur Volleyball Federation has given a go-ahead to play their next home games at their home ground in Gulu. They also expect to put a good show in the Apollo Akol Memorial Tournament to be played in Kumi from the 9th to the 10th of next month. These are members of Gulu Amateur Volleyball Club. The club was promoted to a Serie A from Serie B last season, and this is part of their preparation for the remaining games in the league. They hope to remain in the league or possibly win it. I'm Moses Akena, NTV Sport, Kawunda Grounds in Gulu.
And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thank you for watching. Let's now take a look at tomorrow's projected weather prospects.
Now let's take you back to our interactive segment, NTV Poll. And tonight we asked,
do you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized by the public?
Well, here is the final poll result for tonight.
Well, 81% of you support the proposal to see judges being scrutinized, and 19% don't agree with the proposal.
All right, let's quickly take a look at some of your comments. I think this is Chigende or Chigezi in Kampala, who says, yes, justice can only be seen to be done if those who dispense it are justly endorsed by those whose names they purport to serve.
And Muzenya Bondo Vitas Muhere says, no, this will render the judiciary useless. There are people who also have their bad side of life. If the public is allowed to scrutinize them, their integrity will be lost and we shall no longer respect them.
And let's take a look at Fatuma in Masaka, who says, yes, I strongly support the proposal because the appointing authority has oftentimes made inappropriate choices.
And Abdu Allison here says that's a better idea. Some judges have been so used by few individuals against others that would make them feel responsible and accountable to every individual.
Well, our sample of most of the yes comments does, of course, lend credence to the overwhelming support to tonight's poll question. Well, we thank you once again for your response to tonight's NTV poll question. NTV poll will be back tomorrow, so don't miss a chance to have your say.
And I'll be back at 11:30 for a final roundup of the day's news. But for now, from both of us here, thank you for watching NTV Tonight. I am Faith Ariho.
And I'm Morris Mugisha. Good evening.
NTV.